Welcome back to episode 40 of Blurred Summits. Today, we're going to be talking about arousal regulation. So first, we'll go into why you should regulate arousal. Then we'll touch on some arousal regulation techniques. And then lastly, we'll talk about how to get aroused when you are under-aroused. I know it's kind of a strange topic without getting into it here.
Okay.
So Abdul, why should you regulate arousal? Or what is arousal regulation?
Let's clarify what we're talking about when we're
If you're here for something else, sorry, this isn't the place.
Yeah. So when we're talking about arousal, we're talking about mental arousal. So mental arousal is the state of, it's being awake, amped up, when you're really fired up about something. Maybe you're super stressed, you got the butterflies in your stomach, sweaty palms. That's what arousal is.
Knees
really
weak,
about,
arms
right?
are heavy.
Yeah. So that's when we're talking about arousal in this episode, we're talking about a mental arousal as a result of external stresses.
Not the other ways.
Yeah. So, why should we regulate our arousal or our mental arousal is because stress is a part of our daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
You would be a fool to find somebody on the internet who's telling you that you can live a stress-free life because stress is always going to be there. So the better way to approach stress is to manage it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's what arousal regulation is really all about. It's not about removing the stress from your life. It's about dealing with the consequences of the stress.
Okay.
Right? Exactly. So, and first, if you want to, we're really going to be talking about how to regulate the arousal in today's episode. If you guys want to listen in on how to identify arousal, which is the first step, we would suggest you watch episode 33 of Blurred Summits, where we talk about tension in the body, or episode 12 of Blurred Summits, where we talk about living in fear. Both these episodes, we cover identifying the stresses in our lives. And so go watch those or listen to those before you listen to.
And then this one, we'll touch on how you actually can fix that stuff.
Exactly.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's jump right in here with some of the arousal regulation techniques. So kind of ways that you can then moderate the stresses and kind of help yourself out with it. So firstly is breath control. So when you're under pressure, breath becomes shallow, short, and irregular, right? You'll notice at the gym when you're super stressed out, breathing's insane. Writing a test, you might stop breathing.
Or it becomes super shallow.
Yeah.
You start breathing with your chest instead of your stomach.
Yeah. So to regulate this, you want to have your breath under control, right? So deep, smooth breaths that follow a rhythm.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 in, 1, 2 out, whatever it is. I know when I'm running, I'll do kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 is in, 1, 2 out. Or even 5 and 3 or 5 and 2. Yeah. Something so then you're controlling your breath, keeping your body calm, kind of reducing any of those stressors on your body, right? And in high stress situations, take a moment to isolate your breath and force a calm, deep rhythm, right? Like I just said with running. Because when you don't realize it, your breath kind of gets all out of whack, right?
Exactly.
So then by taking a moment, recollecting yourself and going at it again, you'll have this control of your breath and then control over the moment as well.
It's kind of like controlling the things that you have control over. And
Exactly.
that'll kind of help regulate everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was going to say, so the next thing here is autogenic training, which it sounds super fancy, but I'll explain it. It's really simple. Essentially what autogenic training is you just say things. You repeat things in your head.
Why do they just call it that?
Yeah, I know.
Say words.
It sounds really complicated, autogenic training. So basically, what you do for autogenic training is you're trying to stimulate two sensations, warmth and heaviness. So when we are over-aroused, we are generally feeling very cold, right? And when you're not calm, your body feels really light, but not light in the good sensation. Light as in you're not grounded in the earth.
Yeah.
So heaviness and warmth are the two sensations that you're trying to do. So basically, autogenic training is they have you sit down, close your eyes, and repeat a couple of sayings. Mm-hmm. So they have you repeat sayings about warmth, sayings about heaviness. They put attention on your heartbeat. They put attention on your abdominal muscles, and then they put attention on your head. So, for example, a session of autogenic training might be saying you're sitting down, crisscross applesauce.
Who says crisscross applesauce if you're not in elementary school, bro?
Eyes closed, and you tell yourself, I'm completely calm. Just that, right? Then the next one is you say, my right arm is heavy. So you you begin to feel that your right arm is getting heavy. Then my left arm is getting heavy. You say these things 6-7 times, right? You say, my breath is calm. My breath is heavy. I feel warm sensations in my abdomens, right? Like I feel warm sensation in my stomach. I feel warm sensation in my head. My head is heavy, right? So all these things, you stimulate the heaviness and the warmth feeling so that you can decrease your arousal.
That seems interesting. That warm is kind of the way you want to go with it. I would have thought with warm comes heat, and with heat comes speed, right? Thinking maybe the science side of me, where I feel like warm feels like fast in my mind.
Really?
I don't know. That's just the way I perceive it. Like when you're working out, right, you get hot because you're moving fast and your body's moving.
Okay, yeah.
But then when you're cold, you're calm, collected. That's how I sort of see it. But I guess that's kind of, I might be. This is just personal.
Like when
anecdotes.
I think about this, you're basically trying to stimulate sleep in real life. That's really what this.
Then don't you want to get cold? Because when you get cold is when you get tired.
But like before you work out, though, you want to warm up, right? You have a warm up.
But this is the point of slowing down.
No, like when you're sleeping in bed, you want to be cozy. Core temperatures and real temperatures are different things. Like your core temperature drops while you're sleeping, but people like warm sensations when they sleep.
Yeah,
I don't mind cold.
You like heavy. When you're sleeping, your body is very heavy.
Well, yeah, the heavy side I agree with.
Right.
That's the warm versus cold is the bit where I'm like, maybe not, but oh well, that's who I am, I guess.
Or like you're in a steam room. It's warm.
That doesn't make you sleepy though.
I think he's trying to get more relaxed.
Or decrease arousal.
But the other side to this is like if you calm yourself down too much, you might get to a point where you're under aroused. And so there are signs of under arousal, and those are moving slowly. Your mind is kind of just wandering. Lack of concern over outcome. So this is more like you really don't care what happens. Like sometimes you'll walk into a test and you just don't care, right? And that probably comes from, you just didn't give the test like the studying the amount of time that it deserves, and at this point you couldn't care less, right?
Yeah.
Another one is lack of enthusiasm. So you just don't have the passion to do whatever you're about to do. And finally, one more is heavy feelings in your legs. Right, so you just feel sluggish.
But sometimes is under arousal okay? Like when you're going to bed, you don't want to be over aroused. You want to be under aroused, right? Like you want to be. Like there's times and places for both of these, right?
When you're wanting to perform any sort of
performance things, you obviously want to be like aroused and ready to go.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
When you're trying to do the lack of it, you don't want to be aroused because then you'll lose focus.
It definitely depends on the environment.
Because if you're like in this one where you're over aroused and you're trying to go to bed, you're not going to go to bed.
You're done.
But if you're walking to a test and you're under aroused, you're pooched, as you would say.
You're pooched.
You love to use that word. You're pooched.
Exactly, right?
And like if you're going into like a hockey game or whatever and you're kind of not feeling sluggish and you're out of it, you're just going to underperform. You won't be ready for what's going to come, right?
Exactly.
That's why like before games people listen to music, like get you hyped up, warm-ups, all these different things to make sure that you're aroused and ready to go come game time, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it all depends on the environment that you're in. Sometimes you can be over aroused when you want to be under aroused or vice versa, right? So you just need to be aware of what your body's telling you.
And you need to figure out what that optimal level of arousal is for you.
Because you can be hyper aroused sometimes. It might be too far.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
And then by going too far, then you still decrease your performance because you're trying to go too hard.
Yeah.
Which seems kind of backwards, but it's a danger though.
And we talk about it in the tension episode. If you are over aroused, you will have higher tension in your body. And tension, and a lot of times, is the silent killer of performance.
According to you.
According to you. No.
In Abdul's words.
In Abdul's words, that's what it is. I'm coining that.
See it in an academic journal down the line.
In your textbooks, this will be a fact.
Sorry for making you have to memorize that quote for your psychology final 5 years from now.
So, there are a couple of ways that if you're under aroused, you can bring yourself up. Hudson touched on one of them, listening to music, right? So if you're listening to pumped up music,
listen to some Drake, some OG Drake,
right? Like it gets you excited. The upbeat music gets you excited. Another one is increasing your breathing rate. If you just start hyperventilating, you will literally start to.
But then
up your arousal.
Can you hyper arouse because of that, or is it? kind of steady on the way up.
So this is a balance.
Yeah.
If you use these techniques, you might get over aroused.
And then you have to use the calming ones to then bring.
You have to bring yourself back down. But so these ones you have to use them with care. You know, another one is yelling or shouting.
Yeah.
Just like there's nothing to yell or shout out, but sometimes you see athletes do it where they just start yelling for no reason, just to get themselves.
Just try to get their mind going.
Chest,
yeah.
They start doing all this stuff just to bring up their arousal, right?
Ways to wake themselves up is really what that is.
Exactly.
Because like,
go ahead.
I know in like athletes, I would know we don't really like, at least for me, I never really thought of it as like arousal as a way of doing it, but it's like when you're under aroused, you kind of feel sleepy, right? Like that's kind of what is you're sleepy, you're kind of slow. Like you said, some of these things sluggish. So
There's
then,
no jumping or.
Yeah. So then you need this thing just to wake you up. Yeah. Something, bang, you're good to go. Eyes are wide open. You're feeling like you're good to do whatever it is, right?
Yeah, well, hockey players use like salts or whatever, right?
Sometimes on the bench, like the smelling salts. Well, that's what they do. Like, because on the bench, you can't really do some of these other things. So they'll just take the little smelling salt and just go wake them up. It's like a shock. It's like the shock factor.
It's really bad, by the way. We don't recommend using smelling salts.
Hey, we did them in high school.
No.
Yeah, we did. We made them.
We did not.
In grade 12.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did. We made smelling salts. I was in. Yeah, we were in. We were in different classes, but same teacher. I won't say who the teacher is, but yeah, we made smelling salt.
Oh my god, I missed out. What the heck? I really don't remember.
It was like the endothermic reaction thing. There's something like that where with the smelling salt, we made them in class, and then he passed it around, and everyone's like,
"Really?
Yeah."
Damn, I don't remember that.
We had the same teacher too, so
yeah. Anyways,
bad memory, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Physical workouts you want to be doing. If you're feeling under aroused, get your blood pumping, move around.
Do a jog.
Do a little jog, something like that. It will help to bring you up. You know, it doesn't have to be too long to where you get exhausted, but that helps. And another one is use energizing imagery, right? If there's a picture that gets you pumped up, really inspirational, motivational, maybe it reminds you of a past memory where you were really inspired. Those things can really get you aroused.
See, I don't know about like the pictures one's the one I'm like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, or like
picture seems odd.
Watching a motivational video, for example. A lot of people use that to like get pumped up before a workout. They'll watch like a workout video and like.
Oh, the only type of video like that is like the one where it's like all the football players doing like the "We Ready" thing. That's the only one that's sick.
Well, I don't know what that is.
I'll show you it after, but it's pretty savage.
I don't know, but like the picture thing works for me because like I don't know, everyone knows that picture of like Muhammad Ali where he's like this, like over his like. I feel like if you have pictures that capture moments, and like capture a feeling that person had, you kind of want to go for that feeling.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you know, there's a huge scene on social media for like inspirational content. You know, where people, it's like a quote or whatever, quote of the day. They're just little clips of people saying something inspirational. It can really pump up that motivation in the short term.
Yeah.
These aren't by no means, none of these tips, by the way, for getting you aroused,
yeah,
like increasing your arousal these aren't long-term tips to get you amped up.
I don't know. The motivational pages don't do it for me. Might be for other people. But for me, music is prime for all this stuff, right? Like music, I set the tone, music does it, moves it right where I want it to go all the time.
Yeah, like for me, it's the opposite, right? Like music sometimes, but it's not often that music can get me pumped up, but a really good quote can just get me going.
But I guess for me, that's because like I've been in like the sports environment for like my whole life. And even from probably when I was like 6 or 7 on, it's always been music in the dressing room before the game to then get it going. So it's just kind of the way it is. But everyone's got their own ways to do it. You just got to find what yours really is and then just use it.
What about you, Immad? What gets you pumped up? It's the pictures, eh?
Pictures and the videos. Those videos really work. Especially those YouTube channels. They'll have like some speech and it'll just be like stock footage behind it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just works.
It does. Especially if the speaker's really good, hey?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Really I see those. I'm like, what is this? Abdul send me some things. I'm like, okay.
I'm like,
nice.
Bro, this is so inspirational.
And I'm like, nice. Yeah. Good for you, I guess.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Anyways.
That's funny. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. To recap what we spoke about arousal regulation. Arousal, we talked about it in the mental sense, you know, getting amped up, too excited, palms sweaty, knees are heavy. You don't want that when you're trying to perform an activity, right? You want to be at your ideal arousal level. So some ways that you can decrease your arousal is through breath control, autogenic training, as we spoke about. Some ways that you can bring up your arousal if it's too low is through yelling, shouting, doing a workout here or there, listening to some pumped up music, or looking at some inspirational, motivational content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you'd like to catch the full video podcast, you can catch us on YouTube. The full audio podcast is out on all platforms. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for daily content where we would love to get to know you guys more. Thank you.